dude? Oh.
See, even Greg was feeling the music during the intro.
Sure
I'm sorry.
Yep, that's what I was saying. Greg's dancing with us.
So, okay, we're going to get off the show real quick. My name is Brian Barker.
That reminds me of Verdine White.
And I'm out of here.
All right, I'm Jamal Smith. I'm out of here as well. Enjoy the show.
Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome to Altadena Talks and the Tony Talks segment. As you know, I'm Tony Bailey Rains, obviously Tony Talks. They popped off real quick. You know them, Brian and Jamal, my co-host with the most, who are fabulous. And then I have a guest on with me today, Greg Apodaca. Greg, thank you. You are the Chief Explorer of Community 3.0X. So super excited to talk about that. I met Greg, everyone, a couple weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, I think. I was invited to speak on a panel in Altadena 2 Saturdays ago at the Eagles Lodge on Woodbury and Santa Rosa. Santa Rosa. And so right there on the corner. And Greg was the moderator for our panel, which was community assets. And so I met him about a week prior and had on a Zoom call with everyone who was going to be on the panel. So I invited Greg to come on the show because I wanted to talk about what community assets means to the community. And then what you as the Chief Explorer do with Community 3.0X. So Greg, take it away, introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what you do or what Community 3.0X is, and then we'll just organically talk and speak about all these wonderful things that are happening in our town.
Sounds great. Tony, thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun working with you and getting to know you on the preparation for that panel discussion, as well as with our other panelists. And then doing the show was fun. So I'm happy to continue that conversation. You mentioned my title is Chief Explorer. I chose that title because I think that we are kind of in uncharted waters here in the climate emergency, right?
Yeah.
We've never had to save the planet for humanity before on this scale. This is a global emergency, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge for us to kind of get our arms around that, and so that's why I chose that title, Chief Explorer. Right? There's no roadmap out there to how we get to do this. And it seems like targets are shifting all the time, and some scientists saying it's getting really bad and really worse, and other people saying no, we still have a chance, but we need to get off our couches and take some urgent action. So that's kind of what I'm about. I've been in Altadena for about 15 years. My home burned down in the January fires, but I've been active in town here for about 30 years in Pasadena and Altadena. I think that my purpose in life is that service to humanity, I feel, is the best work of life. And so I'm trying to bring whatever I can to serve humanity. And then specifically now, solving climate challenges, as well as, creating a better society. So if we do save the planet, we have a better society than the one we have now. So my life is kind of in continuous transformation here. Took a little bit of a break, an unintended break after the fires, because I was running an event. You might know I run annually a Green Economy Unconference in June, and so I was running full speed ahead, trying to produce that conference at the same time as trying to rebuild my life. From the ADU that we relocated to in La Crescenta. So promptly after that event, I think I pretty much I was exhausted, and I think I was a little bit depressed too.
Yeah.
Situation. So now I think we're coming back though, and getting energized again about life, about helping people transform for the new future that we're headed into, and rebuilding our community stronger than it's been.
That's awesome. About that break, the exhaustion, the depression, we have been running full steam since January 7th.
Yeah.
And I know some people didn't evacuate and didn't burn down to the 8th. I've told you, like on our other call, my sister saw it start because she was in Eaton Canyon across from it on January 7th, went, evacuated, got my parents evacuated down to my nephews in Pasadena. So for my family, we've been running since January 7th, right? And then for me to now be asked to speak on panels or be at the After the Fire Summit or these other things, I'm like, I'm just learning. I'm not an expert. And people were like, oh, but you're becoming one, right? So we have all learned so much since this fire.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, with what you're doing is so wonderful. And it resonates with me because my father is a retired engineer who worked for 32 years for South Coast Air Quality Management District. I've said it here a ton of times, where his job was to go around and fine all the companies that were putting the pollutants in our air. We had in Altadena, when I was growing up, a brown cloud where we lived. You could see Catalina Island on a clear day. And all the clouds, the brown cloud was not haze, it was smog. And so his job was to go around and fine based on the particulates that were being put into the air by factories, right? And when you see the smokestacks and everything, and he would find them, and it really helped clear up that brown cloud from the work that he did. And I had asthma from birth or whatever. And so generally 2 to 3 days before a bad smog day, I would get sick. I would start wheezing. My left eye would go real small. And so my father literally used me as a barometer. Sometimes he would tell them, we're going to have a smog day in 2 or 3 days, a bad smog day. And they could never understand how come he was able to tell them. And finally, he was like, my daughter, and she's basically my barometer or whatever. So I've known about climate change and the negative effects that it could have on my life. And I remember when we were very young, because of the work he did, him saying, if things don't get better, we won't have a planet later. And we've got to be very mindful about trash and about the ozone layer. Like, I knew about the ozone layer since I was, 5 years old, right? And him talking about this hole in the ozone layer and how much hotter our days would be if we didn't do something about keeping our ozone layer intact. And that included the smog and the work he did. And then, as you know, he, with the Altadena Gardens, the work he did, founding or co-founding that with Fred Shatlow. And so I've been kind of like always about the climate and what we can do better. And I have a garden in my own backyard and, go out and pick fresh veggies, and I've got fruit trees and things like that. And you and I were talking on that initial call about community assets and shared assets and resources. And then recently at the panel, I said, I really want to try to work with the county. And I have left a message with Norma and Mika, but about having Altadena Community Gardens East and somewhere within the confounds maybe of Farnsworth Park when they build it back, right? Because we've got the upper baseball field that they're already talking about making a soccer field because nobody really uses it. And I think that part of that field, they don't have to use all of it for soccer, but part of it, or part of the area more towards Marengo that has been nothing but trees, lots of oaks and other stuff all along, maybe they can give some of that land. But they're talking about 125 people on the wait list, and there's not 125 plots at the Altadena Community Gardens, right? And so people from the east have to go way over there. So I would love to see them expand it and give us ACG East and have a garden for the people on the east side. And then that could be a shared resource and a shared community asset that people have their plots, but we share the food we grow, right?
Right.
If I'm focused on growing collard greens or kale or, spinach, somebody could be focused on carrots and onions and tomatoes or whatever, and we can share. Because we know we've only got, 2 grocery stores technically in Altadena, grocery outlet on the east side over here, not talking about down Stater Brothers, Pasadena, and then the King or Super King over there. And so how great would it be for us to have that? So we can talk now more about that only because you and I have spoken about it. And I think it's great to get your thoughts and input and how we could move that forward together.
At the panel discussion that we were on a few weeks ago, Anish, the representative from Catherine Barger's office for Altadena, said he was open to ideas about sharing, and I think he spoke to that point as well. So I just emailed his office the other day and said, hey, let's get together and continue that conversation. Where I lived was one was back there, 34 homes, and 27 of them burned to the ground. So it's almost a clean sheet of paper there to build on.
So can you say, because right after you said where I lived was, you kind of froze and then it was broken up. So can you start that back over? I'm sorry about that.
Sure. Where I lived at the top of Lake Avenue, close to the Cobb Estate, up by where Loma Alta is. Mm-hmm. And in our small community, if there's about 34 homes up there, and 27 of them burned to the ground. Yeah. So we have almost a clean sheet of paper to rebuild a community there, and instead of building $1 million homes where we don't really talk much to our neighbors, how come we can't build shared cisterns to capture rainwater for a community garden or something else? Shared composting. Why can't we have shared electrical grids and batteries? There's a lot of things that we can do to share resources instead of just everybody having to have their own thing, right? Why do we have to have everybody have a lawnmower and everybody have a weed whacker and probably use it an hour every couple of weeks? Doesn't make sense, right?
And the funny part about that statement is when you said that on our call, you said we could have like a shed or something and everybody put their stuff in and we share it. And I said, there's no way I'm sharing my stuff with people because they don't take care of it and somebody might decide to steal it. And I know I buy quality equipment and all that. But the more we talked, the more open I got to some of the shared equipment, right? And we would really have to put something in place like the buddy system. Like, you have to be responsible enough when you check it out to say, I'm the one that has it. This is what time I checked it out. And I'm responsible to clean it before it goes back in there, right? Because I know my own electric lawnmower, when I finish mowing my grass, I turn it on the sides, I turn it upside down, I wash off the blade. Like I clean because I know I spent $500 something on that lawnmower and I want it to stay in good condition, right? And the same with my weed whacker and my edger and all my stuff. And so I think if we had that in place and had a trust system that people would do that, I'd be more open to it. But my first thought when you said that was, people don't take care of stuff like I do. I'm not sharing nothing with anybody. But it really does, make a little bit of sense. I'll say a little bit more sense to me than when you first said it.
And hopefully the more we talk about it, the more sense it'll make. A big part of the climate change is us and consumerism, right? We have to have a lawnmower. We have to have new clothes all the time. We have to have a new car, bigger home. All that manufacturing, all that stuff that we buy is supporting the fossil fuel industries because all of our factories are still run on gas or oil or coal or stuff like that. We're transitioning, but the bulk of the industrial world is, I think, still depends a lot on fossil fuels. And it's us creating the demand for fossil fuels, right? Chevron wouldn't be still looking for more oil reserves if there wasn't a demand. And we're creating that demand. So we need to shift our lifestyles if we want to continue living on this planet.
Yeah. And with that, a lot of that is political, right? Because the last administration was like, yes, let's get these EVs, let's get all this stuff. This administration is trying to say no wind turbines, no nothing that is natural. And a lot of that is tied to I can be a billionaire because of the stock that I have in all these companies that are the old fossil fuels versus shifting. And so how do we work with like I'm really happy that the governor put out a new order a week and a half ago saying that we don't have to have solar now. We've been fighting that from the very beginning. We fought with the gas, and they were saying, okay, you can't have anything but electric fireplaces. Now they're like, yes, you can have gas again, but no wood burning, right? So the pollutants aren't there. So that was good. And gas appliances, it's a natural resource. But now that everybody does not necessarily have to have panels on their roof, I think they need to stop chopping all these trees because they're taking our canopies and cutting them down. And that helps a lot as well, depending on the tree, right? Because some trees are prone to burn and have lots of oils and may not be good, but others would be great canopies. So the fact is, like, let's look at everything what's going to make us greener and more sustainable to come back and implement that. And when it comes to the shared electrical, now that we don't all have to have panels on top, if part of that where the oak trees are can be, or somewhere in Altadena, right, be a solar grid, then Altadena is better off for its residents to be able to power their homes in an outage or anything else, because we absolutely have our own solar grid. And when some of these commercial buildings or school parking lots or whatever are rebuilt, panels should be on top of that and tie into that grid that's in Altadena. So yeah,
absolutely. You know, we know for sure that we have to quit burning fossil fuels, right? I mean, that is the bottom line. That we need to do that, because that is what's creating global warming and creating all the problems that we're having, or most of them. So the easy answer is installing solar panels that you just discussed, right? We don't have to do it, but we would be smart if we did do it, because it'll reduce our electrical bill. Plus, it'll also help reduce fossil fuels. So that's a transition that we need to make. Bill McKibben, who's a big thought leader in the environmental sector, has a new book called Here Comes the Sun. You know, the sun rains down on us for free every day, and we can convert that solar power energy into electrical energy to run all of our appliances and our factories and all that. And it's just so much cheaper and more efficient than digging fossil fuels out of the ground and then having to transport them on big old ships across the ocean and then trucks to wherever, refineries and all that. It just doesn't make sense to do that anymore. So we need solar panels, and we need to shift to electric cars. We need to quit using our gas stovetops. I know we like them and we're used to them, but you know, electric stovetops, I've been using them. The house that just burned down that we had was all electric, so we didn't have a choice. But now we do have a choice, and we want to rebuild all electric, including barbecues. Right, I still have a propane tank on the house that we're renting here, and we have a gas stovetop here. But you know, every day I think about it. Every time I turn that on, I'm creating demand for Chevron to look for more oil, and we need to knock that off. I need to knock that off. So we'll be changing that up as soon as my wife gets back in town, hopefully.
And so obviously you are rebuilding. That's good to hear, because we need to make sure that as many as possible Altadenians that can and have a desire, we do everything in our power as a community to make sure that they can rebuild. Even if that means volunteering to go swing a hammer if they're going with wood, or if they're going with steel, to use a screwdriver or whatever to help rebuild that house, right? Because if they don't have all the insurance or all the money, but we can use our bodies and be there on their lot and listen to a foreman say, okay, this is what I need you to do here and here and here, because there's also labor shortages with what's happening with ICE and, you know, the communities. Like, what does it cost to go and do an hour, 2 hours on a Saturday, or whenever you have time to volunteer to help your neighbor to rebuild and come back into the community? I think that's so important. And I've been pushing that. And I think I need to start pushing it again, because I do have a list that people can volunteer. But those type of things are so important that everybody knows, as being what yours is, Community 3.0, right? How do we as a community come together to come back? And I know that there's dining clubs and people get together, and there's all these meetings now, and people are like, hey, I used to see you and wave when you drove by, but I never knew your name, you know, even though you're my neighbor. And so I see the community coming together a lot more, and it's obviously something that we need. And so that's really good. What are some other things that you could suggest? Let's talk about that street light that Heidi has come up with.
Yeah. So Heidi Adams is the woman who ran the Regrow Altadena event where we held our panel, right? That's 2 or 3 weeks ago. She's great. She's an entrepreneur. She's part of the LA Clean Tech Incubator. And she has this new light pole that is made of fire resistant materials. It's solar powered, so it doesn't cost anything. And actually, it has a charging station for your car and your phone, so it actually can generate revenue.
Right.
The lights turn on white LEDs like normal street lights would, but in the evening later on, they shift to amber lights so as not to impact animals, right? So, like raccoons and skunks and all those animals come out at night, coyotes, all those guys. So it impacts them less. So in my mind, that's a great way to go into the future. We'll be talking about that with Anish in LA County. Why don't we use our little 27 home community up there? Innovative about having our neighbors. I just joined EATIN Fire Collaborative. I think there's about 110 individuals and groups and organizations in it now. And all kinds of resources and assets there. And what I'm trying to bring to the table is AI, right? Artificial intelligence, to kind of map all the assets and then proactively behind the scenes map assets and match them to needs. So, for example, if you have a nonprofit and you need, a whole bunch of paper because you teach kids stuff, and somebody else has some extra paper, then we would match those up automatically. Or if you're building a home and you need some manpower, we could put the word out and see who wants to volunteer and match those up automatically. If we've left that kind of to chance in our society so far, and that's why our society, I think, is so inefficient, right? And the point I made before, everybody has to have a lawnmower. For what? We don't have to. If you just knew where you could go rent one, or if you knew where your neighbor stored theirs, and you just cut a deal and make sure everybody trusts everybody and do what it takes to, so the bad guys don't take stuff, we could be a much more efficient and effective society. And I think, that's one of the things I'm trying to bring to the table.
Thank you. Jamal, would you mind bringing up that Base Studio website, because I want to show people this light. I know you got something off of, I just put it in our private chat. You got something off of IG a couple of weeks ago, but I want to show them from the actual website. Yeah, that's it. The NextGen street lights are resilient. They produce revenue and connectivity. So that's the street light that Heidi came up with. A phenomenal project. And this light from dusk, when it gets dark, will go on at the lumens that it's supposed to, that it could look like a football field, right? And really, really, really have your street nice and lit up. You can right there plug in a car to charge. You could charge a phone. And if you scroll up a little bit, right there, those are actually the solar panels. You can keep going, but on the front of it, those are the solar panels that pull the rays in, right? And then at night, you see it's bright, but then there could be, whether it's a block captain or whoever in the neighborhood, they get together and say, okay, we want it from dusk to 10 p.m. to be bright, and then from 10 a.m. to 4 a.m., 5 a.m. to make it that amber color. Right. And so it can be put on a schedule, and then it will automatically go from football stadium, keeping your streets nice and bright, to a dim, not only for animals, but at night you want to be able to sleep. You don't want to have to, and you may have blackout curtains or blinds or whatever, which are great, but where animals can still see, but people can still see, because we know that people come and go at all hours, day and night, and have different work hours. So you don't want it to be super bright, but there's still a nice amber glow. So this is what Heidi came up with. And after, she's willing to put them in the very beginning at no cost to the community, is what my understanding, or the county is, but until they pay for themselves. And then after that, it will create revenue for Altadena. So it would probably be something that is split between Altadena and the county, obviously, because how do you say, okay, this is how much revenue you could generate? But if someone has an electric EV and does not have a charger in their garage, right? And they are almost out and need a quick charge, they can literally pull up, plug in, and get charged and go on about their way to get home or to wherever, work or whatever they need to do. So that's part of the revenue generation. And I just think it's a really phenomenal concept and idea. And if we could get these as we bring back, because even with the street lights that are in Altadena, some places don't have them at all. and we rely on what our porch lights, right? We know we don't have sidewalks, but as we have a clean slate, like you said, within your little community within Altadena, right? Your 34 homes or 27 that burned down.
Right.
How is it more sustainable? How is it something that will benefit? I think these are fabulous, and I really hope that the county taps in with Heidi and says, yes, we want this in Altadena. And obviously the town council, right? Because they're going to tell Catherine Berger, we need these street lights. And then hopefully they could be everywhere that there aren't street lights, and then maybe even replace some of the ones that are there.
Absolutely. I don't see any reason that we can't do that. And I was talking to Heidi. I said, Heidi, in our neighborhood back there, we didn't have any street lights. This is a little bit of a private neighborhood, right? And it's pitch black at night, So regularly I would have guests come over and they'd get lost, or when they drive up my driveway, they'd run over my sprinklers because they couldn't see them at night. And so it would be nice to have some street lights up there, but it's also nice at the nighttime sky to have it dark. If you have all kinds of bright lights, you can't see the stars. The stars are amazing.
Right.
And so that Heidi's unit is the best of both worlds. And we forgot to mention that it also provides Wi-Fi. So in the next big wind event, if Edison decides to cut the power to the neighborhood, we still have Wi-Fi connectivity because of these light standards. So it's very innovative. I think it's a great idea. I'll be asking Anish to see if we can do a test project up there in my neighborhood. So we'll see.
And didn't she say that each pole will hold 48 hours of power? So that literally, because I asked her, I said, how long when the power goes out would they, remain? And she said, I think she told me 48 hours. And that would be phenomenal, right? The people could still see, come and go, have the Wi-Fi and all of that, because beneath, in between where the pole, where you see the solar lamps or the solar panels, and the bottom where you see the car and where you could plug in, that's where all the battery is. Right. That stores directly from those. So within this big, and I like the design of them, and they're like a green color, the one that she had out there. And they were really impressive to me. I was like, this is a really, really nice street lamp. Yeah. And I think that it would be fabulous that we move forward with that. And we talk about green cities or smart cities or whatever. And we've heard a lot of people say, oh, they burned us down purposely so they could buy the land, make a smart city, and sell all these lots for billions of dollars, millions of dollars. And it's like, well, I don't think anyone burned us down purposely. No. I think it was an event that happened, right? And it was a perfect storm. However, we could think about going back the same traditional stick builds and everything being the exact same, which is we really don't need, because that's part of why we burned up. Right. Or use the technology like this for our street lights, like steel, like some other composites and things that will be fire resistant. Right. That will help with that zone zero. And I think what has to happen is people have to have a mind shift.
Right.
And a lot of people are not looking forward to that mind shift. I know I work in tech. And so for me, the mind shift is probably a little bit easier because I know a lot of the different technologies that are out or that are coming out or whatever. But what are your thoughts on that, Greg, with the mind shift and with, people wanting to rebuild just the old way and not change things? How do we change that?
Well, that's the big challenge right there, right? Somebody the other day used a phrase that I love. They were talking about changing people's minds, and they said it's not rocket science. It's harder than that. It's social science. The hardest thing to do is to get people to change from their habits. And this is what my home always looked like, and it always needs to look like that. And Altadena always needs to look the way it was. Hey. Times are changed, right? Do we want to use 100-year-old building techniques? Well, that's not smart anymore, right? We know we're in a fire zone. We just saw what can happen. We lost half of our community, the Palisades too, and we need to use more modern materials. And we are likely to go with this company called Azure Printed Homes that is 3D printing homes and using prefab techniques. And instead of wood framing, use metal framing to make it as fireproof as possible. And to your point earlier, when you buy a prefab home, it's built in a factory. These guys' factories in Gardena. My wife and I were down there the other day checking it out. But usually you have a home and you're going to build it the traditional way. For 18 months, all these guys bring their trucks back and forth to do the framing, to do the electrical, to do the cement. All that is eliminated when you build a home in a factory, and they just need to truck it out one time and then assemble it at your house like it's a big Lego set or something.
That's it. Yep.
So, all these greenhouse gases are saved because people don't have to drive back and forth. Time it's about on average 30% cheaper than a traditional build. So that means, you can build 30% more home for the same price or build the same home for 30% less. That's a lot of cash. And especially for people who don't have a lot of money, that might be a great way to go. And we're going to go that way.
Yeah. Well, and I've been advocating for that, right? I've been kind of pushing people towards a few of the builders that were either at my town hall or that came on the show that are using that technology, that are doing prefab. And I've had others say, look, I'm an old school builder. I don't know that I want to go that route, right? But and then I have a girl, Allison Elaine, who I just met with again the other day. She was at the town hall. She's been on the show a couple times. But Allison is doing 3D printing homes. I literally just got an email at the start of the show saying that she was getting the printer prepped. She says, we're looking at mobilizing it for the foundations and slabs. We want to send you a bid on one of the projects. She was talking to me and some other people that we had a meeting with. But she wants to come in and do all these foundations or slabs, right? 3D print, because that could be done in 4 hours, right? Yeah. And you're not having all the manpower, and the machine is big, but the sand mixture, the fiberglass mixture, the concrete mixture is so incredible that it's better than any foundations we've ever had. And I watched on my parents' lot when the Army Corps took up our foundation, and that guy had to drop the bucket on it and everything because it wouldn't break up. It was a foundation from Foundationville. Like it had 6-foot pilings, like seriously. And then there was this huge crater in the earth because when they built that house, I think in 1960, they built that house to last, right? Which might also explain why I never really woke up during earthquakes, because I didn't feel them. If it wasn't like a 5 or whatever, and still to this day, if it's not like a 5.1 or a 5.3, I don't even feel earthquakes. But that house was built to, that foundation was there. And that's how these 3D prints are. But also sometimes you can get the printers on hills or in places that it's going to take a lot for a truck to come and back in and have an extended, hose and all of that to spray out this concrete. Yeah. So I think that, yes, if we do things like that, and when you're talking about concrete curing, if you put a foundation or a slab down and then you got to wait a week for it to cure, right, before you can start doing anything on it, versus if you have 4 hours instead of a whole day or whatever, have it, you could print an entire house in a day. It's just incredible. I've seen the technology. I've seen the prefabs that the house is built in a factory, cut up, brought together, and put together, like you said, like Lego blocks or whatever, and it's up in a day. And then they have to do all the rest of the, roofing and all of that. But the frame of the house is up, and that has the exterior and interior. So I'm happy to hear that you all are seriously looking into that, because it is more sustainable. It is going to, have a rating where you're a fortified home and your insurance is not going to go through the roof. Just everything is going to be better for the community. And I'm advocating and pushing people to look into that. How are you telling people, whether it's at the EATIN Fire Collab or wherever, that this really is better? And let's look at that, because I've been in Altadena and there's a ton of stick builds up, right? But how can we get more people to think about going with newer technologies? Well,
several ways, right? I mean, so this show is one way. Hopefully we put this on YouTube and then people can access it wherever.
Yeah.
But I mentioned a while back at the end of June, on the 25th and 26th, I had our 5th Green Economy Conference, where we had thought leaders from different sectors of the community come together and consider exponential technologies. We actually sponsored a whole component on virtual reality and extended reality and augmented reality, which is, everybody that you see, any kid you see that has a headset on, that's what they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the way of the future. The way we're going to be educating kids and educating everybody is using these new technologies, right? I mean, who watches Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 7 anymore? I mean, that's old school. That's all we had when we grew up, maybe at Channel 13, 9, and 13 and 11, right? But very few channels. Now there's a couple hundred channels, and people are watching TV on their phones. So the old ways are dying.
Uh-oh. I think you froze. Everyone, this happens.
There we go. Am I back?
Okay, you're back. Yep. You said the old ways are dying, and then you were frozen. So I knew you'd come right back.
Yeah. The old ways are dying. Similar to fossil fuel companies, right? Those fossil fuel companies are dying. Lynn Twist, who is somebody who I admire, talks about instead of fighting oil companies, that we should hospice them. Like, you put your old folks into hospice. Because that way they'll go with less energy and they'll go sooner. But we should also at the same time midwife these new technologies and new better ideas so that they'll take root faster and grow faster. I love that, right?
I never thought about that, but that is so powerful, because I think what happens is people are familiar with those terms, right? People know what a midwife does to help birth something, and people know what a hospice is. Right. And so, if we could, that's part of the social change or the mind shift, right? Social mind shift. If we can speak a language that people kind of know or are familiar with and understand to help usher in some things and usher out some things, right, that might be extremely beneficial and powerful in the way that we do it.
Yeah. And we probably could use that approach too. I've never thought about it before, but maybe we can use that approach to shift people's mindsets and publicize that in the media. I need to think about how that works. But here again, Lynn Twist, if you haven't heard of her, she has some great TED Talks. I met Lynn about a year and a half ago. I was at a conference in Texas called Earth X, which is, I think, supposedly the biggest environmental conference in the world, right? Lynn was talking about an amazing story, how she was in Africa helping to eradicate hunger. And she got this call with her husband and some friends to go into the Amazon jungle, right, in Ecuador. And how she had this experience. You go down there with a shaman, and they usually do some plant meds, and you have these visions, right? And she said she had a vision that, and the shaman debriefed her and said, what you had was not a vision. You had a calling to come down here and work in the jungle with women to save the jungle for our families and for the world. And she said, you're crazy. I'm out of here. And she went back to Africa. But then she kept seeing that same vision, and eventually she went back to the shaman and said, I'm going to work here now. I'm going to
do it.
Started this thing called the Pachamama Alliance. Pachamama means Mother Earth in their language. And it's an alliance between some Anglo women here from the States and some indigenous women in Ecuador who are fighting to help save babies down there, save women, and save the jungle. And when I heard her tell that story, I was amazed. I talked to her after she was interviewed and read a couple of her books. And then coincidentally, I was in Playa del Carmen, Mexico at a retreat. Somebody heard my story about wanting to reconnect with nature. And this guy, Yannick Silver, said, "Hey, I heard your story. I'm going to the Amazon next week. You want to go?" I couldn't believe it.
Wow. I'd have been like, yes, all expenses paid. I'll go.
It wasn't all expenses paid. It was not cheap. But here I am saying I want to connect with nature. And the Amazon is the womb of the earth. I thought, how can I say no?
Yeah.
Changed my schedule. I went down there. And it turns out I went to the exact same village that Lynn went to and worked with the exact shaman. And
are you a grounder?
A what?
Grounder? Do you walk around your yard barefoot and just ground yourself with the earth?
I'll walk around barefoot quite a bit. Yeah.
I do too, in the house and sometimes outside. But if you can look up grounding, and it really helps to center you in your body, and you connect with the energy that's in the earth.
Yeah.
And so if you're stressed out or whatever, take your shoes off, go walk in the grass, go walk in the dirt outside or whatever, backyard, front yard or whatever. And you can learn more about grounding. Even people go and hug trees and lay down. And some people are like, those people are crazy. But I've tried a few of it and it's like, this is really calming and this is really centering for real because we're from the earth. And when we reconnect with the earth, we get that synergy and make ourselves a lot more calm and centered and just everything is so much peaceful or a lot more peaceful. So look at some grounding practices because I'm sure a lot of the people in the Amazon and others are absolute grounders.
Yeah, absolutely. And too, and some spirit animals come into my life. And since I've come back, I've been working with a medicine woman here in LA to do more plant medicines because I'm thinking, in order for us to save the planet for humanity, we can't think, right? It was Einstein, I think, that said that we can't solve today's problems with the same level of thinking that we created them. And I don't think we need to necessarily shift our mental potential so much. I think we need to also tap our heart potential and our spirit and our potential collectively as humanity, or even just Altadenas, or even just our 27 homes. We need to work more effectively together and quit thinking that I have to go it alone. Our society beats into us that we need to raise ourselves by our bootstraps and don't ask for support. That's BS, right? We need to work together here. And so I'm all about tapping more potential.
I think that we could go back to a lot of the principles of the natives because we know Altadena is on Tongva land, right? And if we check in with the Tongvas and say, hey, like Western thinking has you only like this with blinders on. Yeah. But I've learned when you expand your mind, there is so much that God has given us in this earth. Yeah. And we are this way only. And a lot of times if you're raised in church or whatever, it's this way only. And if you think outside, it's evil and it's demonic and all this. But a lot of it is natural principles that everything came from this earth. We got to go back to the earth. When we die, whether we cremated or whatever, we're going to decompose, we're going back. And so to me, I use faith right? Whether it's faith in therapy, faith in grounding, faith in whatever, right? What your spirituality is, plus some things, as long as you're not muddying the waters and going crazy, right? And that's what I say. But what is going crazy? But the thing is, there is real tangible benefits from grounding. There's tangible benefits from growing your own food and being more healthy. There's tangible benefits from some of the other things that we've been shut off from and that cultures all over the world do, and ones that are thousands of years old and they still live in the villages and things, and they're able to be self-sustained. That if we open our minds and have that shift, we could be a lot better humanity-wise as a whole. And that's where we in the United States need to get to.
Absolutely. When I was in the Amazon, the shaman I was with, his name is Manari Ushiwa. There was a London-based architect donating some time to help him build some new education buildings down there. Kind of struck up a friendship with her. And Manari came to the Arboretum for my conference, and Roberta Vosnick, who's this London-based architect, also flew in for the conference. And her topic that she talked about, using indigenous wisdom in post-fire LA. And in the indigenous areas, they think 7 generations into the future, right? My kid's kid. What am I building today that will impact that kid positively? Materials do I need to use so that we don't harm the soil? But also in the jungle, everybody's expected to contribute to the community, but everybody then shares relatively equally. In our community, it's the billionaires take all the cash and screw everybody else.
Yep.
So there's a lot we can learn from the indigenous people, and that's part of what we brought to our unconference was those same things, those same concepts, and we're still pursuing that.
Well, I'm super glad that you and I met because I didn't know you before and didn't know about your conference, but I'm super interested to go next year or be made aware of it and really work with you. on some of the stuff because, and I keep calling it mushroom poop because I don't know the actual name of it. I forgot what they told me at the gardens. But when we were over there to do the remediation, they were like, okay, Tony, this has, whatever lead or whatever contaminants are in it from the fire. We have to lay the hay down. We have to put the mushroom poop. And that's what they told me. They were like, they told me the name and they said, just call it mushroom poop. I was like, okay. And it's in these bags and we got it out of the big garbage bins, right? The garbage cans, the plastic 30-gallon ones or whatever. Open the bag with the gloves on, walk over, spread it out, use a rake, spread it more, and then they put the hay. And I was like, so tell me about this. And they were like, so the mushroom poop is basically when mushrooms grow and the farmers cut them above ground, that's what we get in the store, right? But the poop, the stuff underneath that's mixed in with the earth is such a natural and a phenomenal product that it naturally removes anything from the dirt, toxins from the dirt. And so you got to spread it out. And then on top of it, they have bales of hay that were broken up and put it before they can start to do other organic matter, right? Obviously, bringing a bunch of worms in will help break that all down, doing the compost and everything. But that's how they were remediating the soil. And so I was like, where, if I need it, can I get some good mushroom poop from my own yard or whatever, right? So, but there, you can get it because it's what's left over. You know how if people grow watermelons, the watermelons take every nutrient out of the soil. And so you can't plant anything again until they go in and they remediate and then they bring all new soil in. Because I have a cousin that does it down in the South in Louisiana. And I was like, well, send me some seeds for yellow and orange watermelons. I could grow them and sell them to people here. And he was like, cousin, it's not that easy. Yeah. He said, it's great. He said, but every year you have to put in new dirt. And I was like, why? Because with my collard greens or whatever, I don't have to do that. He said, no, but watermelons, in order for them to grow, they suck everything that's in the soil out, all the nutrients. And then nothing will grow after that. So you have to remediate and put in new soil. I was like, oh, right. And learning. So that basically is how, on the reverse side, the mushroom poop will literally take bad things out of the soil so that you can bring in new soil and it's remediated and doesn't have toxins and you can grow stuff again. So I thought that was super interesting because I never heard of it. Yeah.
And, there's new ways to grow things without soil these days, right? I mean, hydroponics has been around for a long time. We had on our deck, we had 2 aeroponic gardens, right?
Oh,
so we're growing basil for salads. We're growing tomatoes, about 4 different lettuce, chard, and kale for my, my protein smoothie in the morning. You can grow a lot of stuff without any soil.
That's true.
And so right now, we've been in this rental home here for maybe 3 months, and a friend of ours just gave us an aeroponic garden. So we'll be setting it up pretty soon. You can come by and check it out if you want to.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Because I'm a traditional, I bought my house and I started, just doing, because I have all this land. So I was like, oh, let me put gardening. And I made beds and everything, built them and just use the dirt that's there. But I use a lot of the other, like I compost. And so all my food waste, I compost, I put that back in it. I go get coffee grounds from Starbucks because, you can walk in any day and they'll give you this humongous, I think it's about 20 pounds or whatever bag. And I spread that out on my eggshells, go back in the garden, like everything that I can. I use neem oil so I don't use any poisons in my garden and, all of that. But I have all this land. So I was like, I want to do something with it. But yes, I do know that there are those towers.
Tower garden.
Power or whatever, the stand up, and people can grow in there. And I've seen people do herbs on little walls that they kind of build and put. And so there are all kind of ways. And if it's aeroponics or hydroponics, and it helps even with, not using the soil, especially if people don't have access to good soil or the space or just want to conserve it. I think that that's super important that we talk about all of those things, right? And say that these are the alternatives. And this is the way that we can grow our own food naturally and organically without pesticides. And because I walk outside all the time and pick stuff out of my garden and bring it in the house, wash it and cook it.
Yeah. My wife planted, I think, 3 tomato plants in our front yard here. But then somehow we got about 4 volunteers, just more tomato plants, just show these tomato plants are going crazy. They're little cherry tomatoes, literally.
They go crazy.
There's like 200 tomatoes out there. I can't eat that many tomatoes.
I pulled all mine because they grow like, I mean, it is crazy the way tomatoes grow. But then also the hornworms. One day I went outside and they were on there, but they hadn't, because a hornworm could eat your whole plant overnight. But thanks to the neem oil, that keeps them off. Yeah. But I had 3 big ones, and I just cut the branches and put them out on the deck and let the birds come and eat them because that's what they like anyway. But I was like, those hornworms look like the devil. They're crazy, but they get so big. They're like the size of an index or a ring finger. They're fat, and they will eat your whole plant. But the way the tomatoes grew, even though I had them growing straight up in the, things, the forms, they still grew out and everything. And I was just like, I can't take it. And there's all these tomatoes, and I don't eat a lot of tomatoes. So I grow the greens more: spinach, kale, collard greens. I have basil. Now, I had 1 basil plant, and the next year I had 10 because of all the volunteers. And it was crazy. I had to give some away. I literally dug them up and was like, do you want basil? I have some. And so I love to see the volunteers. I have a brand new volunteer of prism kale in another area. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. So yeah, depending on seeding and when the wind blows a little, the volunteers, you may wind up having a whole lot more than what you thought. But I love it. And it's very therapeutic to go outside the garden.
Me too. Love it. Love it. So, I think we go ahead.
No, go on.
I just wanted to say, thanks for this conversation about innovation and shifting our lifestyles. We really need to do that. Because I think we're demanding it, right? I was part of the giving some feedback to the county's Blue Ribbon Commission report post-fire and how we should rebuild. I think the 2 big things that I found that we're missing, and that is that the report was all about, hey, how do we get ready for the next Palisades and Altadena fires, as if that's what their next fires are going to be like. No, climate is getting worse exponentially. We need to get ready for the next 3 times or 5 times as big Altadena fires, and we need to do that right now. But nobody's talking that way. And then second, when they have reports like that, first we need to fund it, all those recommendations, and then we need to make sure that the recommendations and the funding guidelines are not so specific that all they talk about is fire. Because as you know, in LA, the next big disaster could be an earthquake, more likely fire, or it could be a flood. In where we used to live, there was a wash on our property. And even though the rain after the fire was only about half an inch, that water was full. That wash was full of water. It looked like a torrent, and it flowed over into our yard. And I'm thinking, we need to bring in about 10 truckloads of dirt, and build our home 3 feet higher than it used to, because, mark my words, that wash is going to overflow, and it's going to take us away. So we can't think that the old days are going to be repeated anymore. Those days are gone. We're in for a very different future, and we need to get ready for it. People need to wake up and live differently. So that's kind of our work.
Live differently and respect the earth, because we have been so blessed and fortunate by everything the earth has given us.
Yeah.
But we have been horrible.
I'm going to be talking at this festival called Earthstock in Santa Monica on October 2nd and 3rd. And we're going to be showing this 4-minute video. I think you'll love it. I'll send it to you. And then I'll send you that Lynn Twist TED Talk too, so where she talks about
that'd be interesting.
And maybe we can talk again about the earth and how we need to rekindle our relation and transform our relationship with the earth. I think now we think we can control the earth, which is BS. We just saw this fire raging. There was no
we did not. We have look, the earth is like, y'all keep playing here. I'm gonna show you exactly who I am.
Right.
Because we have been horrible to the earth, and we really need to think about how do we respect earth and be better when we rebuild our community. And it has to do with all of this: going greener, having sustainability, sharing resources, having gardens, right? We need not only gardens on the east side or wherever, and they could be pop-ups, but more parks. Like on the east side, we have, growing up, we called it the greens, right? Where there's Mount Low and you could walk, and it used to be just green and we'd play football and everything there. Now they made it like walking path, and instead of all grass, it's, but those type of parks, if somebody decides they're just not in the middle of a community, they're just not going to sell, they're just not going to rebuild, maybe it become a park on their block, right?
I think it's
Green seating area that neighbors can go and gather, and things like that, potentially, right? It would have to, the owners of the land, if they don't want to sell and don't want to rebuild, would have to say, yeah, let's do that. But to even have those kind of conversations with people are important. And I think it's important. Brian and Jamal, I just put a link in the chat because I just got an AP news alert that LA County response to deadly fires slowed by lack of resources, outdated alert process. A new report that came from outside the county, and people might be very interested in it because I know someone asked about alerts yesterday. But we try to keep people on the front lines and say, hey, this report just came out as well. So that is the article. If I know you guys don't like putting that full link that I always put in the other chat, but if it could be shortened, and if not, if people want to look at that, it is a EATIN Fire California report on apnews.com, and it just came out. So I think
that kind of brings it full circle, right? That speaks to all the more reason to use AI to match assets to needs more effectively. These guys are saying there's a lack of resources. Well, let's use the resources we have more effectively.
And outdated policies, right? Not just the article literally speaks to outdated policies, not just for the alerts, but other policies. We had a firefighter on here, Kevin, who talked about, the policies and how the communities are supposed to share their resources or have a mutual aid agreement. And there was not one, right? With Pasadena and the city of LA and all this different stuff. So, I mean, not city of LA, but LA County, Altadena. And so they've got to look at all of that, what the policies are, how do we do it? And even like Michael, who was on the panel, right? And he talked about what Santa Monica has done, which is 1.5 million gallon, basically water tank that can have, or a cistern that can collect rainwater, but it can be utilized. So should you need it for a fire or anything else, the water's there, and how it recycles, right? And those are things that Altadena needs to look at. Oh, okay. How do we make sure that we're doing this right? We don't get a ton of rain, but when we do, like I remember 6 or so years ago, we had 3 weeks of rain right after Christmas and into January. And that whole El Nino season, we had tons of rain, and we need that 14 inches. But that rain just washed away, right? Instead of being collected. We do have reservoirs and some was collected. But if we could have other cisterns or something locally that we can have it and utilize it, like you said, for a garden on the east side, or to have for potential, fires or anything else, how do we do that? How do we bring that into Altadena? And I know that that's the long-term planning, but we have to plan long-term. Yes, people will rebuild their houses in this year, next year, and years to come. And they said it'll take us 10 plus years to come back. It won't take 10 years for homes to pop up, right? Because they're already popping up. But the long-term planning, the commercial development, things like that will be more long-term. But if we can bake a lot of the new technology and the ideas into that commercial and long-term planning, we're going to be much better in the long run for our community. And that's what we have to remember and do.
Agreed. I mean, that's probably the big takeaway from working with the shaman and when he came to our conferences, that 7 generations thinking, right? How can we think through in 100 years, what's our community going to look like? And how do we want our kids to be able to live better than us, and not just scared of the next firestorm or earthquake? We need a lot more. We need to be good ancestors, for the people that come after us.
We absolutely do. Well, I know we're about at an hour. We're right on time. We start about 5 after, and we're right there. You and I know, could talk for hours. So we will continue the conversation. Send me also the email on your the event next week. I have to go out of town on the 4th for a 1-day trip up north, but the 2nd and 3rd, I'm interested in that. Maybe showing up in the evening, afternoon, or whatever, or
Great.
hearing you speak. But for that Earth conference,
Okay.
because we celebrate Earth Day on April 22nd, I think, each year. But it's so much bigger than a celebratory day and people go and clean up trash on the beach or whatever. If we do not start, we should have already started, and a lot of us have been in this practice, but if we don't make drastic changes now, we're not going to have to worry about an Earth, because if we're not taking care of her, she's not going to take care of us at all. So yes, there will be another big disaster, whether it's a big fire. But on that note, and we're going to jump off, but you and I will talk about this. I think we need to be talking to other San Gabriel Valley communities, right? As we are rebuilding, we need to be saying, what are you doing? Like Laverne and Glendora and Azusa, and ones that are right up against the mountains, La Cañada, La Crescenta, right?
Yeah.
What are you doing to make sure, because you could be the next one, right? So to be in these communities talking to the mayors and having town halls or whatever, and saying, look, not just clearing the brush, but there are clear coat products that can go and do your whole entire house, over your paint, over your siding or stucco, that will help protect. What about your zero zone, right? With your defensible space, because a lot of people don't have these things. And now that we're learning it, we need to be able, yes, please, Jamal, we need to be able to share these with people and say, let's not have you as the next 2 towns over or whatever, and your whole 90% of your town is now gone.
Yeah. At our last Green Economy unconference, we wanted to have a bunch of politicians talking. We weren't able to pull it together, but this next one coming up probably January, February next year, we'll be having a panel of elected officials talking specifically about fire preparedness and exactly what you're talking about. Just put the Earth Stock Festival link in the chat there so you can check that out.
Perfect.
And in the interim, I'll send you those TED Talks. I kind of need to bounce right now to another meeting.
Yeah, go right ahead, and we're going to share your community, your site as well. It's actually up on the board, the community 30x.com. But we will talk, because we've got lots to talk about, and we're going to partner on some things. So thank you so much again, Greg, for coming on today. I definitely look forward to however we can work together and bringing you back on at a later date and see what we can do.
Yeah, it was fun. I look forward to coming back, and I'll send you some information via email after this. Okay.
Okay, great. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Okay, take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Whew. There's so much that I could talk about with him, because I love gardening. I do grounding stuff when I get a little stressed. Learning so much over the last almost 9 months, and I feel like my whole life is shifting from being just in tech, but this community advocate, all the stuff that I'm doing. I'm super excited. Why are y'all not back on the stage?
We were letting you talk. It's your editorial.
Not by myself. I brought you right back in. But the fact is, like, you guys don't know how energized I am right now from this conversation, because this stuff is just part of my being, right? We got to do better. We got to change. So I'm super, super excited right now. And Greg and I will work on some things, and I'll bring them back. The things back. I'll bring him back later or whatever. I am getting information, because I do want to bring this guy on who has this. It's not a wrap, but it is a clear coat. So for anyone whose homes did not burn, or as you're rebuilding, we know you've got to build back with Title 24 standards. But I'm working with Fortified Home, because I want to make sure that builders are offering the Fortified Home certification. And I'm working specifically right now with Kendra and Allison. And California standards are higher than IBHS, but with fortifiedhome.com, you can go, and everything that we're doing in California gives you the Fortified Home certification. But when you get that certification, your insurance won't be $10,000 a year after you've rebuilt in Altadena. It might be more like what it was, or, might be $2,000, $2,500, whatever. Because again, the lady from the Paradise Fire, when she was building, her insurance told her it would be $10,000 a year. When she got her Fortified Home certification, they said, oh, you have this, it's $800 a year. So that kind of information people need to know. I'm working on seeing how, I can get that within the community to all the builders to say, hey, make sure you're offering this to your people, or that people have that certification, because the insurance industry recognizes that. Anything we can do to just bring the information and make things better for Altadena as we come back. Apparently that is my whole mission in life now. and I'm going to keep going forward with it, because that's kind of where I am. So thank you all for indulging us and allowing us to talk. It was a good talk. I'm super excited about it. And I'm super energized right now. I feel like I want to go take my shoes off and go run in my grass and my dirt outside and ground myself. I'm so serious. I am so hyped right now. Anywho, it is time for our announcements. So I'm going to sigh and let Jamal do our announcements. I'm going to go walk in the grass because I'm super hyped. While you're doing announcements, I'm going to go walk outside barefoot in the grass and come back less hyped.
All right. No, that's cool. I'm only going to do stuff for today on. Won't do the whole early stuff, because we did have a very, very entertaining, very informative interview that you did, a little earlier today. So that's a beautiful thing.
Oh, and real quick, even before you do it, you remember Ian Migley, the one who does the, Ian. So he called me, was it yesterday? Day before yesterday. And he is looking, let me look at this text. He's looking for people. I'll probably do a sheet or whatever. But if anybody who is watching today wants to, let me find my text from Ian. He's looking for others to film, and specifically, Tony, hold on one second. I pulled it up and then, okay, this is what he's looking for. He's doing more documentary stuff, but this was, wait a minute. This is not the text he sent me the other day. This was from June. Okay, I got to find it. Let me go ground, figure out what's what, because he might have sent it to me with somebody else on it. Quit laughing, Brian. And wait, September 3rd. Here it is. Okay.
You had to wait for your phone to update?
No, he sent it from another phone. That's what happened. So anyway, he's in general. I'm hoping to have you speak to how Loma Alta has been going through a renovation. Wait. Nope. Okay, goodbye. I'm going to go ground myself and take my phone and look for it at the same time what you were doing. While you were doing the announcements. I'll see y'all in a few minutes.
You gonna get ready for tomorrow, Tony? You gonna get ready for tomorrow?
Hey, you two, are y'all coming tonight to the thing?
Yes.
Good. Make sure you have your white on. That's why I have white on, because remember, Frankie Beverly.
Right. Oh, it's a white thing? Dang, I better put the white shirt on.
It's recommended. Yeah, they come in white if you can, because it's a tribute to Frankie Beverly.
So
y'all
for Brian,
going outside for a minute. I will do that.
Girl, go earth yourself.
Right.
Grounding.
No, we're going to call it earth yourself. Go earth yourself.
I'll be back.
Oh my God. All right, I'm going to do these this abbreviated announcement set. It's only going to be about 1, 2, 3,
12.
Maybe about 10, 12 slides, as opposed to 49, or as the kids say, 6, 7.
59, 79, 9, and 9. You know, there's a black CEO that's taking over Taco Bell. Did you know that?
Yeah.
And I want him to bring back the 59, 79, 99. And the Bell, what's it? The Bell Beeper?
Bell Beeper.
Your favorite one?
Yeah.
I eat Taco Bell if they bring back the real food. Not
what about the
powder and you add water.
Right. Bring back the enchilada.
Bring back real meat.
Talk about it.
Not meat powder.
Right. Here we go.
I know y'all. I used to work there.
We'll be back. Oh my God. I don't know. That was
I'll take a meat powder taco, please. Not carne asada, carne powder.
That is not cool. So today we're doing an abbreviated version of the announcements. We're just talking about what's happening from today on. So LA Fire Justice is actually going to have an EATIN Fire Town Hall. It is today, it's beginning at 6 p.m. It's going to be at the Salvation Army, 960 East Walnut Street in Pasadena. So at 6 o'clock, there will be dinner. and then the presentation will begin at 6:30, followed by Q&A at 8 p.m. So definitely check that out if you want to get a little info from LA Fire Justice. All right, and this slide, I didn't center it, but it's Altadena Revealed. Again, it's a monthly lecture series and social hour. So this is the 6th installment. This one's going to be Owen Brown's Body. It's a film screening and conversation. The film screening is 20 minutes, and then there'll be Q&A with Pablo Morales and Michelle Zach. This is today, beginning at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Altadena Main Library, and it's Reflections of People in Place. To register, please scan the QR code below, and the doors actually open at 7 p.m. with the film beginning at 7:30.
So you guys know, just so you know, Pablo Morales is a John Muir High alumni, and he's also done several films, including the one about, remember the one they showed back in Can't We All Just Get Along film? So he also used to sit on the alumni, John Muir High School alumni board with us, as well as he is the curator for the museum at Muir.
Yep. You definitely got it looking really, really nice.
Yes, go visit it when you go there for the homecoming, please, because we need your donations to keep these things going. We all volunteer for these positions. We're not getting paid, so your money helps.
Great point, B. Great point. And that's coming up soon. What is it? The
November
Halloween.
1st, November 2nd.
Yeah, Halloween is the actual game, the turkey tussle. It's crazy.
And homecoming, I think the Hall of Fame is happening on Saturday, as well as the homecoming fair is on Sunday. Don't get me wrong. I think we're kind of combining the homecoming fair and the Hall of Fame on the same day on Sunday, but I haven't looked yet.
Okay. Very cool. Well, we'll get more information as we get closer to it. And moving on along. So just like Tony was just talking about, we have the Soul to Soul Solutions and Jazzy Jams for Empowerment in association with the Paseo, presenting the Jazz at the Paseo Summer Series. Bless you, my dear. We believe this is going to be the last one for the summer series, but hopefully there'll be more music that is going to continue while the weather is nice. So celebrating Alta and Pasadena, there's going to be a happy birthday celebration to Wayne Lindsay and all other Libras that are in attendance, plus a special tribute to Frankie Beverly and Mays featuring TJ Wilkins. This again is today from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. and it is at the Paseo, which is 300 East Colorado Boulevard in Pasadena, and it's in the courtyard, the big courtyard. There's plenty of space. It's great. Great performances, and Guy Black of KJLH will be hosting. Some of the other special guest artists will be Lynn Fidmont, Asia Ray, God, GAWD, and Sunwoa Love. They are suggesting that you wear all white. Seating is on a first come, first served basis, and please bring your own chairs. They are saying that the charcuterie bites are available for purchase. And if you want more information, you can actually scan the QR code. And there is no cover. It is free admission. If you want additional information, you can also go to Jazzy Jam or empowerment.org/concerts. And then the Altadena Chamber of Commerce and Civic Association is now accepting applications for the Altadena Business Recovery Program, Round 2. It's for Altadena businesses and nonprofits only. The grants are available in amounts from $500 to $1,500. If you want more information, please scan the QR code above or go to the website, altadenachamber.org. And the deadline for applications is September 26th, which is tomorrow. So if you're interested, if you have a business or a nonprofit and you want to qualify for this, or apply, tomorrow's the deadline. And then Chris Holden's 26th annual Community Resource Fair and Block Party again is on. It is this Saturday, September 27th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's at the 500 block of East Jackson Street in Pasadena between El Molino and Los Robles. Please come check it out. Altadena Talks will be there. There'll be many resources. There'll be food, great entertainment and fun for the kids, the whole family, in fact. So if you get a chance, come on through. It should be very nice. And then Here Lay a Home exhibition is continuing Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is the last day. There will be a closing reception on Sunday, the 28th, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. The location of this exhibit is at the Armory Center for the Arts at 145 North Raymond Avenue in Pasadena. So join the Here Lay a Home collective for a final walkthrough of the exhibition and community story booth sessions with Perennial Memory Lab centering on Aladina elders and artists. So definitely check this out. You got a couple more days. Then the Action Altadena Rebuild Fair Take 2 is going to take place on the 28th, which is Sunday, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Victory Park, 2575 Paloma Street. Join us, bring your family, be a part of the supportive Altadena community as we rebuild. And they look forward to seeing you. And if you're interested in being a vendor, this time I'm not going to read it all, but it's right there on the screen. Definitely fill that out. Go to that website. Pretty straightforward, not too hard. And then Pasadena Senior Centers is actually going to have their next community event on Monday. It'll be the 29th at 1 p.m. They are going to be providing grocery cards available to those who can prove their fire loss. This is the topic's going to be property taxes and the EATIN fire, what you need to know. And it's going to be presented by County Assessor Jeff Prang. This is located at 85 East Holly Street in Pasadena. And again, on Monday, 1 p.m. And then the Altadena Chamber of Commerce at Mariposa Junction are seeking Altadena small businesses, artists, and makers who sell wares, goods, and experiences for the Altadena small business market. Local youth and youth groups are encouraged to apply as well. The actual event won't be until November 29th. It'll be on a Saturday from 12 to 4. It'll be located on Mariposa between Lake and El Molino. However, if you would like to be a vendor, the deadline is September 30th, which is Tuesday coming up. If you're interested, please scan the QR code or you can go to the website, altadenachamber.org. And lastly, Altadena Talks Foundation is presenting a Day of Thanks community luncheon. It will be Saturday, November 22nd. It'll be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Loma Alta Park Gymnasium. That's located at 3330 North Lincoln Avenue in Altadena. Please RSVP by scanning the QR code on the screen. And we do have a capacity of 1,000. Once we get to that, then we're going to shut off the registration. So please register early. And you can register your whole family. It's a pretty simple form that you fill out. And we definitely would love to have you participate. And we want to show our appreciation by giving back in this fashion. So with that, that's the last slide, I believe. Let me just double check. May have added one more. Yeah, that's it for now. All right. So I brought B back on. Tony is still grounding or earthing and wiggling her toes in the grass.
Yeah, we'll let her do that in private. It's a private thing. We don't want no problems. She back now. She done took her clothes off and everything. Yeah, she done body grounded. wait, hold on.
Oh, my mic is muted.
Yeah, because we heard you back there grounding. Then we had to put you on mute.
You heard my blender on because I'm making my green smoothie right now.
I thought that was your feet touching the ground grounding.
Oh, good Lord.
My feet are soft, bruh. I ain't got no raggy.
The ground was probably in hesitation. These feet too soft. We gotta change our demeanor.
I went and walked through the grass. Yes, I went out to my mailbox and yes, I did my grounding. And
you still hyped?
A little bit, but not as much. And then I came in, I was like, you know what? I need to make a green smoothie. So I'm making my green smoothie. That's what you heard probably with the blender. And I went to get my robe because I have white on for the thing this evening. And it'll be just the day that I spill on myself. So I was like, let me wrap myself up. That's why you guys see this, because
Got you. It did seem though like you took off your clothes.
I know. I
did.
thought,
It did,
she
because it
ain't
was
got
like
it.
wrapped
She body earth.
over your shoulder. It looked kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So
So
what's
that's
in your
why I have the
smoothie?
robe, because I'm not trying to get my white dress filthy, because I'm going to get off
Makes
of
sense.
here. I got to go to LA, take my aunt to the doctor, a bunch of stuff before I get back to Pasadena for the event tonight.
Before you go though, I want to know what is in your smoothie. What's in your green smoothie?
So spinach, and I ground that up, and then I put some pineapple flavored colostrum, because colostrum is very good for you. And then it's a combination of strawberries, mangoes, pineapple, and goji berries.
Nice. Where you get goji berries from?
And they're frozen. I get a
frozen.
bag of frozen fruit that has that mixture at Costco. It is so freaking good.
Nice.
And I'm so the spinach and water just finished blending up. So I was like, okay. Then I heard you guys. I said, all right, I won't turn it back on. I won't put the fruit in and turn it back on until I go and talk
We muted you. We muted you. It was all good.
You know,
Yeah.
We're a team here.
So that's what I grounded, and then I came in to make my smoothie for the day, because I hadn't made it yet this morning. And you guys know how I am about my green smoothies.
Yeah,
So
I need to start making them again myself.
I didn't have one yesterday either. And so my body is like, where's my smoothie?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah. So
like
that's what I was doing.
Like Seymour.
So
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like,
Little House of
Seymour.
Little House of
Where's
Horrors.
my... Yep,
Little Shop
exactly.
of Horrors.
Yep.
So
That's
it's
how my body
funny.
is.
KCRW put a post up on their Instagram about people are now going back to their lots with their RVs. It's just funny because I just so happen to want to start a series on interviewing people who are on their properties and how it's been and what permits you had to go through, not permits, but what the process you had to go through, as well as where are you going now that you're sitting here? Are you going to take a year or 2, 3 to start? So that segment starts on Monday. I'm actually going to be filming a lot of them today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
Cool. You should also ask them if they're getting their property soil tested, just to make sure.
That's a good one. In fact, if you guys got questions you want me to ask, then by all means, please shoot them to me, because you know me, I don't really ask too many questions. I like to let people ramble so that they can. I don't have to talk. I don't want to talk. I just want to answer the question and let you talk, because
because there's several already up there, and one of the guys on the panel with us, Michael Anderson, who's the architect from LA, he was talking about that. There was all this money for this grant given, millions of dollars, and they're going to start out with 40, but then they can do, I think, up to 100 a month of trying to get people back in the community. And it is putting luxury RVs, trailers or whatever on lots for as long as people need while they are rebuilding. Because we do know underinsured and uninsured may not have any money for anything as far as the ALE, right? Others that have ALE, it is 2 years, and if need be, can be extended for 36 months. But if somebody has not chosen yet to rebuild, and just mentally they need to wait, go through a year, then they have another year of their ALE. So what is that process going to look like? Are they going to be able to, continue being in a rental, or do they need to be on their lot? So yeah, that's super important. And a lot of people are doing it also because we know people want to make sure squatters don't come and lay claim to their lot, right? So that was one of the biggest things is, you can also put an RV there and you can live there. And then some people just don't feel at home anywhere else and want to be back there on their lot.
Like my roommate, she did not want to be in the Azusa home anymore. She wanted to be on her property. And they actually have 2 trailers.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, 2 trailers. So she's actually my first interview since I know her already. And then I'll be doing Double D around the corner on Palm or Poppy Fields or wherever he's at. Because, these people had inherited lots from their parents. And it's emotional to them because this is where they grew up. And especially Double D, his whole life is he's Dave the Animal Guy. He rescues bears out of trees and helps little baby mountain lions and stuff like that. And he has a little show on YouTube. But what I want to do is bring light to how he's coping, because he was earthy, just like Greg that just got off. He's earthy. You know, he's not one of those. And he's another one that used to hang out at the Rancho bar with me too, and we used to talk a lot of smack. But you get him like you know, it's funny. A lot of earthy people go to the Rancho bar because
I didn't.
You weren't part of
said
the
a lot.
community
He
at
didn't
the
say
time.
all.
That's a lot of
You
you
know,
have.
I'm always throw something in
you
among
don't
you.
even drink. I'm gonna get you a cranberry mango orange cocktail. Make it look like you got a
mocktail.
yeah, exactly.
See, right.
Yeah.
So I'm an
that
earthy
way
girl,
everybody can look like
I was
they
just
getting
messing
drunk,
with
and
you.
you can pretend like you drunk just so you can see what somebody's intentions are. I'm like, I'm watching you, buddy. But But yeah, this is the next phase of our podcast is to go beyond and get back into the neighborhood. Yes, we have been bringing people on. Yes, we have been talking about announcements. Yes, we have been doing this, but it's now time for us to be boots on the ground for real. Like, get out there, talk to. I mean, Tony's already been doing it. She drives by, she calls me up. Hey, get your booty up here and take these pictures of these houses that's being built.
Well, yeah. So we're on the boots on the ground. So what I would say is this is the next phase of what Brian is going to do, because my phase and what I do, right, is bring people on and then get out there in the community.
No,
Brian's
I'm not knocking with you.
Community. Yeah, Brian's in the community. He goes to every freaking event practically until he's worn out, and then he takes a break.
That's why I'm fat.
And then, so it's great because now he's going to go and do some of this. And Brian, by the time I get back from LA, it might be 4 o'clock or so, and I'm probably going to be driving around because I was up there Tuesday and I did some driving around because I always try to look and see. But yeah, we are going to constantly bring the best content that we can to you for the community from within the community. That's why a lot of the people that I bring on are community members, like Greg Apodaca, right? He lost his home of 15 years. And you know, it's important that people see Altadenians helping Altadenians. And this is what our part of our purpose is and what we're doing here. So I'm excited, Brian, for this segment or this part of you, because you like going out, what you're going to be doing in that. And I'm going to bring the little camera thing tonight. And that Osmo or whatever.
Oh,
Cosmo.
for the event.
Yep. Yeah. And then and we'll see. And Jamal, we may or may not see you. We already know. So now if it's Jamal's family, he's gonna show up. Other stuff, he'd be like, gotta.
Well, the reason why he shows up to that is because she gonna come over his house the next day and say, I thought you was coming to support.
The auntie. Right? I was like,
oh, that one I had to, because no, I'm gonna tell you why I went to that one. Number one, it fit kind of within my time schedule because I did have a volleyball game to go to before.
Yeah,
but it was also closer because my aunt she performs a lot. And a lot of times she will be in like Long Beach or out in the valley. And in fact, she had a performance the following day in Riverside. And I'm like, I'm not going to Riverside, Auntie.
Right.
But she was close.
Riverside.
I got a chance to check her out and it was worth it.
Dope.
It was awesome. And
before that's why I said we may or may not see you tonight if you're available.
Before they performed, what's that spot that was by the Dutch Oven? The Village, whatever that village. Rhythm of the Village. Yeah, they used to perform there in the back courtyard. They would have a festival.
Yeah, that whole thing burned down.
That's where they practiced too.
And it's fully clear now and flat.
Is that what Thomas Kelly was playing there too? Was he doing that with him? Yeah.
Yeah, but at one point when I actually went to the event, he wasn't doing that at the time. I think he was going through his recovery from his,
Yeah, Thomas, if you're watching, safe recovery, homeboy. We need you back. Disney's missing you. They need you to play the Lion King drums.
It is 11:34. I need to leave my house for LA no later than 12. So love y'all. I'm going to say toodles. We've been on here an hour and a half. I will catch up with you this evening. Did you give me the finger, Brian, just now?
No, he gave you the deuce.
Oh, I only saw the one. Okay, yeah. I was like, I know he did not just give me a bird.
You know this is all I do. So
I know, but I didn't see
if you see the finger missing, that's not me. See?
It does look crazy though.
What in the world? Because I know. Anyway, I'll see you this evening. See both of you gentlemen in mañana here again. And everybody out there in Altadena Talks land, have a wonderfully blessed day. We will see y'all. And I'm going to say Tulu.
Peace out, girl. We'll see you later. Goodbye. She had to go anyway. She'll stay on this. She'll blame us for being late. We don't want no problems.
Exactly.
So yes, we hope to see you all tonight at the Jazzy Jam for Empowerment Jazzy Groove. You know, I looked at video from previous ones. It is humongous.
Oh,
there
yeah.
are like 300, 400 people out there. And kudos to Jacqueline Snell. She has revitalized them all single-handedly by being there to begin with the prom dresses and suits.
The giveaways, yeah.
And they loved her there so much, she brought traffic to the mall. People not giving her proper due, her proper credit, but I'm telling you right now, that woman's phenomenal. She's pulling things together. She's got some great sponsors behind her. And this is going to continue throughout the rest of the year.
Certainly seems like it, because they gave her space so she could do the water cooler room. Right. They allowed it. Hey, don't go nowhere. Stay right here. Keep bringing your positive energy. And what a blessing that is.
I think we need to do a live podcast from there. That's what I think we need to do.
Tonight?
No.
Oh, you mean for the water cooler room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know about tonight. I mean, we could go set up. We just need electric and we need internet. So, but I was going to go there and film. So it's all good.
Yeah, there goes my camera.
Yeah, you're lucky I didn't catch you.
I'm surprised
I thought you just froze like that on purpose. No. He'd be like, well, we had a lot of people on today. Kept me busy. Boy, I was trying to make sure everybody got acknowledged. So we got Hazel Pereira joined on Altadena Talks Instagram. Marcus, of course. Mark Finer, Extreme Weather Survivors. Thank you all for coming on. Action Altadena, we will be at your event on Sunday. Crypto Breezy, Red Cup, Marcus again, great conversation. 1102 Kennels, Silanji, Classic Ash, Dr. Jenanin George, MD. Jenanin, okay. I guess. I don't know how to say that. Martin Proctor from GoGo. He does some functions sometimes in Pasadena, so shout out to you. Shout out to Andres. Mosan Moore. Mosan called me today.
Big Mo.
Taken care of. 10X Altadena. Shout out to Dr. Musson and his crew.
Right on, Brandon.
Rashad Holiday, my super duper dope producer from my bowling days. He's also from Pasadena, the area. As well as you, the audience. Thank you for joining. As Kimberly Green and Joy Lewis. We actually, she popped the popcorn. She popped the comment up.
You must be hyped too. You got all that positive energy flowing through.
I just got my popcorn box that I ordered from back in April. I went to the mailbox and finally picked it up. So, yeah, I was thinking about the popcorn. I was looking at it. She popped the popcorn. So I'm not hungry today because while she was doing the interview, I went downstairs and made a tuna sandwich. And, you know, I'm not hungry now. So.
Well, I am. I'm about to eat this
sandwich. I know you are.
Wifey hooked me up a nice little sandwich. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. Look at that.
Yeah, I just made one. A tuna sandwich.
What? All right. Well, I'll let you know if I can make it, you know, later on tonight. I'm a little confused as to whether Teeny has a game today or not. On the school website, it's today, but on Max Preps, it's tomorrow. And so I think it's tomorrow. Anyway.
Okay.
But I'll let you know.
Well, Thank you all for spending this hour and 30 minutes with us. We appreciate your contributions and your donations. And we don't have the donations thing up there, but here it is.
It's
Nope,
about
that's
to be.
not
Oh
it.
yeah, I
It
was
was
about to put it
something.
up too.
And
There it
don't
is.
forget for Jazzy Jam, if you want to get in touch with her about anything that she's doing, there's the information. So we appreciate y'all. Stay strong.
Are you doing it or am I?
You, because when I do stuff, it's bad luck from home.
All right, everybody. Peace. See you tomorrow.